개발자 TV. In this walkthrough, we'll look at how to add an Add to Calendar button to a list, and we can also add that as a button on a screen. So to do this, what we're going to do is first add an events collection, because in order to add an event to a calendar, we have to have an event to pull from. So what I can do is go over here to my database here in Adalo. And right now I've just got a users collection, but I'm going to click to add a collection here, and I'm just going to call this one events. And you can see that it provides me with an initial text property here. But if I click on this, I'm going to actually rename this. Instead of calling it name, I'm just going to call this event title here. I'll go ahead and save this. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is an event needs a start date and an end date. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another property here, and I'm going to add a date and time property. If you add just a date, you won't have the ability to add time, and it will actually just make the event an entire day. So I want to make sure that I choose date and time, and I'll call this one start date. Start date and time. And I'm going to create another one here, another date and time property called end date and time. Okay, I'll go ahead and save this. So now what I need to do is I need to provide information about this collection on a screen somewhere. And the easiest way to do this is to either add a list component to an existing screen that you have, or you can actually add an entire screen itself. So if I want to pick a templated screen from here, I can just choose this simple list screen. That's how we're going to do it here. And I'll just call this events list. All right, so I'll create this screen. And you can see that it's created me a new screen here, and it's even went ahead and put the list on it. I'm going to go ahead and select this list, and all lists have to be tied to a collection. So over here in this left panel here, it's asking me, what is this a list of? And since we already created our events collection, I'm going to set this to events. And I don't need any filtering for this, but you could definitely filter this if you wanted to narrow down the options here. And then the next thing that I want to do is make sure that I turn on this right section here. So all I have to do is just kind of flip this toggle, and you can see that it has added an icon over on the right side of this list for me. Now I'm going to change the icon type to, or I'm going to keep it an icon, but I'm going to change the symbol here, and we're going to make this just a calendar. Okay, we'll click on that. And I'm also going to add an action here. And the action is going to be to link to a website. And instead of linking to an actual website, we're going to use a tool called dacademy. And I've already got the documentation pulled up for this in our Adalo help resources. You can find these at help.adalo.com. Once I'm here in the documentation, what I want to do is find this URL and copy this URL here. Oops. There's also, you can either highlight it, or there's also a button here that just says copy, and it will let you copy it straight out of there. So then I'll switch over to my other Adalo tab here, and I'm going to press Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac to just paste that right in there. And the next thing that I'm going to do is, because this is already a list of events, what I'm going to do is actually just replace these capital pieces of text here. I'm just going to take these out kind of one by one so I don't delete too much. And I'm going to use magic text, which is this red T here. And as the subject, I'm going to make this be the event title. So I'm just replacing portions of this link with, magic text from our database. I can also change this reminder here. So if I want the reminder for the event to be 15 minutes before it starts, I think that's a good one. And then after this DT start, so this is going to be the start date. So I will take out these capital letters here, and we will replace this with the start date and time. And the end date, I will go ahead and take that out as well. And we will replace this end date with the end date and time. Now it's really important that you go in and click on this little pencil icon and make sure that you change the date formatting from relative to no formatting. It needs to be sent this way so that it can generate the link. We need to do this for both start and end date. Okay. So that's how we add a add to calendar button. You can also do this to an individual button as well. So if you wanted to have a button on this screen and say that this list is actually on the home screen here, what I could have my users do is actually click on the event, be taken to maybe a details screen about the event, and access it that way. But if we click on this, you'll notice that underneath my available data on this screen, we don't have any data available, and we need the current event data from this list. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a action to this list item so that when a person clicks on just this portion of the list, it's going to actually link them to the events list screen. So let me go ahead and link to the events list here. And you can see that it's telling me that it's sending the data to the events list screen. And now what I can do is check this events list screen by clicking on this tab up here. And underneath available data, I have the current event data here. Okay. And now that I have that, I can actually make this button the add to calendar button if I want. Okay. And again, the same thing here, the same action is going to be placed on this button. So I'm just going to link to a website. I will paste in that URL and just replace these capitalized text and there we have it.